Hi everybody, this is Jean-Charles Compagnon with the KiOui apps. And today I want to do a little video on Cassini and eBay's new search engine to explain to you guys some point of view from eBay's point of view. So we're on the Google page of eBay stock. And why are we on Google's page to see that? Because it's important for all of you to understand that eBay is a corporation and eBay is in the business of making money. They're not in the business of anything else but making money. That is their purpose. So this little graph here is not displaying anymore. But if you look at the 5 years trend, eBay's shares are going up. And because eBay is a public company, making money is directly related or directly relates to the price of their shares. So you can see that since 2009, eBay is making more money, and eBay wants to make more money. So how does that relate to Cassini and the things that as a seller you can do to provide or to get better search ranking and get better sales? So let's look at what eBay might want into a seller. And I hope this is okay. I'm using Danny's account because I think Danny has a very good track record to try to show you some of the things that you should do as a seller to try to appeal to Cassini. So Cassini is going to rank items, but it's also going to rank sellers. I'm sorry. It's also going to rank sellers. So one of the things that Cassini is going to do is it's going to look at the conversion rate of that seller. If, for example, you have a seller that just sells 1 out of 200 items that they have for sale, then, or let's just say 1 out of 100, this seller has just a 1% conversion rate. Now let's look at Danny, and we're searching utterly good stuff items here, and just utterly good stuff. And I'm going to go down to the completed listing. And we can see that from the completed listing, we have sold, sold, sold. Okay, so this one didn't sell, sold, 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 sold again, sold. So if Cassini would rank Danny, Cassini would probably say that Danny or utterly good stuff has a very high conversion rate, which is great. Because now, if you go back to the thinking of eBay wants to make money, just like everybody, you know, it's not that they're greedy, or some people might think, but that's just the way it is. You know, we're in the 21st century, and we're a society driven by money. So if eBay has to find items between seller A that sold just 1 item out of 100 and Danny's item where she sold, I'm not going to go through all of them, but from what I can see so far, you know, there's just 1 item that didn't sell here. So let's just say with 80% sell through. Which one do you think eBay is going to decide to serve the item for? eBay is definitely going to serve, for the exact same item, eBay is definitely going to serve Danny's item first because Danny has a higher conversion rate. Therefore, there are more chances that it will sell. Therefore, eBay has more chances of making money out of it. And this is really, really, really important to realize, because by realizing that, there are a lot of things that you can do to do that. For example, if you have items that do not sell, get rid of them. Unlist them or reduce the price, get a sale, get them out of the door. eBay does not want sellers that have items that sits there forever and that doesn't sell. It actually hurts you because for a similar product, eBay is definitely going to serve different item to different sellers' item. And when eBay is going to have to decide if it's going to be your item or somebody else's item, eBay is going to look at your sell-through. It's going to look at your policies and all, but it's going to look at the percentage of chances that this item will generate money. If this item matches what the buyer wants, of course, eBay is not going to serve, this cute doll here to somebody that's looking for a red sweatshirt. But if somebody is looking for a cute doll, a Renoir doll from the 60s, and eBay has determined that this person, this buyer that's on eBay searches for Renoir dolls, then Danny, that has a sell-through or very high sell-through rate, is probably a lot more interesting for eBay because there are more chances that it might generate a sale, and therefore will serve it. So what you need to do as a seller is understand that, and understand that you need to be appealing to eBay. You need to be appealing in a way that you have high sell-through, that you have high customer service, that you have high rating. So it's not just necessarily about the 5-star rating, but your sell-through is very important. Now, let's say you have an older item that you've had negative feedback on. Danny does not have negative feedback. So let's just look at, let's see, iPad mini. Let's just find somebody that got, search from all sellers, somebody that got a less than perfect track record. And I'm not necessarily picking on this person, from China. This is not what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to explain to you and show you. So I'm going to go to a negative here, and I'm going to go to this item. So this item has sold. There were 50 sold. Let's say that this item still had some for sale. Well, because of this negative feedback here, eBay has determined that this item, the Lightning 8-pin charger white, has less chance to appeal to a buyer because it got a negative feedback. If one person found that this item was not as described, it's more than somebody that has the same item that has had 0 negative feedback. So if you got a negative feedback or a neutral or low DSR rating on an item that still has quantity on it, consider killing that item and then just selling it again, listing it as a similar. I'm trying to find one that's not ended. Okay, they're all ended. Let's look at his neutral maybe. And same thing with a neutral, Okay, well, they're all ended. And you can see that this item here, that's actually the same one as that we were looking at for negative. And eBay is going to look at feedback per item. Now, this item that got a neutral and a negative is less likely to be appealing to somebody that wants to buy on eBay. Therefore, it's more likely to generate a return or an unhappy buyer that's going to go away, and therefore is not going to generate any more sales because this buyer went away. So if, again, not picking on a particular seller, but if eBay now has to decide, am I going to serve this item from this buyer, from this seller, I'm sorry, where's the seller? Here. Or am I going to serve this exact same item from an older seller, then I'm probably going to serve that other seller that does not have negative first. So you as a seller, if you have a multi-quantity item where you got a negative or neutral, consider killing that item and then just relisting it. That might help. That might boost you in search results. Of course, there are other reasons why you would want to, get an item like that, and it might be because of pricing here, because it's fairly cheap, and that's where China shines on. But my goal through this little video here, if we go back to the stock, is for you to understand that eBay is in the business of making money, and therefore, when eBay selects which seller's item, eBay looks at the seller and the track record for that item and for their track record in general, not for feedback or, is that seller a good person or not? eBay looks at it in a sense, is that seller going to generate a sale? Is there more likely a chance that this seller will generate a sale than this other seller? You could have the worst track record on earth. If you have 100% sell through, eBay is going to give you items. eBay can care less if you have a very bad track record because you generate sales. Now, of course, if there are two sellers, one with 100% conversion and the other one with 100% conversion, but the first seller has 50% feedback and the other one that has 100% feedback, eBay is going to search and rank the seller with 100 feedback before the one that has 50% feedback. But it's important for you to understand that the conversion rate really helps big time. And one of the reasons why Chinese sellers like this are able to sell a lot on eBay and have a lot of sales is because they have a very high conversion rate. Let's take on this seller, which we've definitely looked at, that does not have the best feedback. But if we look at his completed listing, sold, 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 sold. Okay, this one didn't sell, sold, 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 sold again. Very high conversion rate. And this is very important for eBay because high conversion rate means that it generates sales. Let's look at, for example, if we go back into the iPad mini search that we had. Here, let's keep going back and back and back. Okay. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. And I'm going to go down, all the way down. And I'm going to go on page 10, where nobody ever goes. Page 10, nobody ever goes. And let's look at this seller. So this seller has, let's see, just 7. That might not be a good example. Let's take this one. Remember, we're on page 10. So this seller has a fairly high feedback, 98, similar as the other one. Let's look at all of his items. Okay, it's probably a seller from China again. Let's look at the completed listing. And this one has not sold, sold, not sold, sold, not sold, not sold, not sold, 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 not sold, and sold again. So clearly a less conversion rate than the first one. Therefore, that person is on page 10, whereas the other one that had a higher conversion rate was on page 1. There are some other factors, but I'm just trying to make a point here to you that even though you have great feedback, this might not be what matters. Let's try to find here. We're on page 10. Let's look at this item here. From China as well. Oh, this has ended. Okay, view others. So the seller here is on page 10 for his item. And if we go to, let's see, let's go back once, twice, and let's look at his feedback. 100% feedback. So it's good feedback, but it doesn't seem to matter. Now let's go to his completed listings. And not sold, sold, not sold, not sold, not sold, sold, not sold, not sold, not sold, not sold, not sold, not sold again, not, and one sold. So a very poor conversion rate. See, I'm making my point here. So let's recap now that we are back into our share stock pricing. When you look at your seller practice from eBay's point of view and Cassini's point of view, sellers' sell-through rate is going to be very important for eBay, and sellers' ability to generate sales is going to be very important for eBay. More important than feedback, more important than if you sell, if you ship fast or not. But the ability to generate revenues is important and built in. If your item is overpriced, it's not going to sell. It's not going to be ranked well. If your item is underpriced, it's going to be ranked, but not as well as an item that is priced correctly, because the item priced correctly that is most likely to sell at a higher cost will generate more revenues. So sell-through rate, try to cancel eBay items where you have had negative feedback or bad DSRs on them because they're not as interesting. Get rid of old inventory. If you're a seller that has had stuff sitting around for years or even more than 90 days, get rid of them. You know, one of my personal recommendation is go away from good till cancel. They are great because they keep relisting themselves. However, you lose track of them. You don't know what's in your inventory really, and those actually affect your sell-through rate. Whereas if you had to put back, you know, the same little thingy on eBay, you would remember it and you would remember that it's not selling, and therefore you probably would get rid of it or try to lower the price and try to get it out of the door. So I hope some of those advice or explanation can help some of you. And feel free to comment and post anything. Thanks.